right, good evening. Welcome back. Oh, no, I'm welcoming myself back. How are you? If this is your first time joining us, welcome. My name is Reverend McMorrow, and I'm the director here at the Center for Spiritual Living. We're coming to you from Granada Hills, California. So this is the sanctuary. I'm joined here, safely distanced by one of our pillars of our spiritual community, Mike Carlin, who's working the video and the sound for this evening. And so we're delighted to have you here. I'm delighted to be back. So let's get started, shall we? So let's just begin by taking a deep conscious breath and release. And in that release, we're just surrendering to this eternal now moment as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. That fundamental to this truth is a unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So we have behind us the flames of faith. So the first candle is for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center, within our online community, and right here in our own hearts. And I have behind me the healing candle. I personally want to acknowledge my dad's second heavenly birthday today. He was born on August 5th. And also to ask you to remember Brian Miller of the Four Friends, and just as he's working through his diagnosis and the continued free mobility and healing of one of our ministers here, Reverend Jessica Fish, and for anyone who is working through a health challenge, whether it's in the body temple or within the mentality. Please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love. And so we go within for just a second longer, just recognizing and knowing that God is the infinite power and presence expressing as love. That we are taking a moment now to connect with this truth. It is the indwelling Spirit. That we just take a moment each within our own practice and our own understanding of that to connect with it. And from this place of conscious connection individually, that we are now in consciousness connecting with this communally. That we are creating now spiritual community by means of this internet experience. That we set the intention now for our meditation this evening. So just take a deep breath and release, and consider what you want to make welcome. So I know for each one here that this evening is perfect, that we release any attachment to outcome, the way it's supposed to look, how long it's going to take, the things that are said, the things aren't said, too much silence, not enough silence, that we're releasing any attachment to any of that and just simply allowing ourselves to surrender to this moment, breath by breath, moment by moment, as we go within in the most mindful of ways to experience whatever unfolds this evening, knowing that in that unfoldment, it is perfect. And so we release it to that aspect of the mind of the living Spirit, that aspect that knows only to say yes. Yes, expressing as law. So we release it, allow it to be so, and together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is, Amen. So I'd like to thank Reverend Nancy for holding down the fort for me these last couple of weeks. If you did not get the word, my mother passed on July 16th, so I took a couple of weeks bereavement. And also for those of you who may not know, a very sweet soul left us, died in her sleep, and that was Jade Menken. I should have mentioned her with the healing candle. So we're just knowing for her father and mother who survived her, and any other family members. We're just raising them in the light of love, and know that like us, we are blessed, continue to be blessed by her presence in the next realm, but also by the memory of a sweet and gentle soul. And so it's, and of course my own father, whose birthday it is today, passed on a year ago, February 23. So folks are, life is impermanent. And so for those of us who are left, it's important. I love the words of Ernest Holmes when he said, for those of us who are left, it's not necessary that we leave an impression on this world. That this is not important at all. What's important is that while we're here, we live and really live. So that's what I'm focusing on. I know that's what those who have gone on to the next realm before us would want for any of us. So for anyone who's suffering in any way, let's just know this truth together for them. And then when we get to the back end of this meditation, we have a little healing ritual that we do at the end of that, and we can lift Brian in that, and also in Brenda. So Brenda's got a health thing going on. She's good. She's fine. She's not in the hospital, anything like that. But just we're just going to know for her, again, mobility and comfort as she works through her healing. So, yes, so our little songbird could use some prayer support. So hi, Brenda, if you're watching. Yeah. All right. So, and I've been working. I joined you in the meditation last week. I really appreciated what Reverend Nancy had to share. I'm going to continue working out through this book that I know the Sangha has been working with it. Specifically, given everything that's been going on, I think it's appropriate that we're in the chapter Compassionate Action. So many of us are looking for ways to be effective allies to our brothers and sisters who are not experiencing just equality, life as an equal partner in life. And so many of us are finding ways to stand in compassionate action. And of course, what we know as practitioners of this teaching, and we are all practitioners, is that everything that is created in the outer world is first created in thought. And this is true also for compassionate action. This is where meditation can become, and a strong meditation practice can be so helpful, because it not only creates space within our experience of life and in the ways that we think to where we can respond rather than react, right? So our reactivity is diminished and our responsiveness is enhanced. But we can also benefit with better focus. The breath work, of course, as we're working through this pandemic, the breath work is also good for us. The act of sitting in an erect and mindful way, we get a benefit from that. And we're using all of it to help still the mind and to create mental discipline. Because a trained mind is far more powerful than an untrained mind. But taking it back to compassionate action, so Pema Chodron, the author of this book and a monk, a Zen monk, she's speaking to different slogans and so forth. This one is a little longer reading, but I do want to share it because I think you'll get a chuckle from it once in a while if you see yourself as I have in this reading. So let's just take a deep breath and relax. And now I'm going to tell you a story. Always abide by the 3 basic principles. The first principle is to always abide by any vows you have taken. So we'll speak to that. The second principle is to refrain from showing off or from outrageous conduct. The third is always to cultivate patience. Keeping the vows you have taken, refraining from outrageous conduct, and cultivating patience. So I think the second 2 are pretty self-evident. The first one, she says this: this first principle, to keep the vows you have taken, speaks specifically to those of us who have taken the refuge vows and bodhisattva vows, but it may be helpful for everyone to hear a little bit about these vows. So I don't know what these are. The Refuge Vow is basically about making a commitment to become a refugee, which in essence means that rather than always trying to get security, we begin to develop an attitude of wanting to step into uncharted territory. Uncharted territory, or uncertainty. So this is a common theme in Buddhism, of course, the attachment or aversion. The Refuge Vow is basically about making a commitment to become a refugee, which in essence means that rather than always trying to get security, we develop an attitude of wanting to step into uncharted territory. It's a vow that we take because we feel that the way to health and becoming a complete human being is no longer to hold so tightly to ourselves, that we want to go beyond that situation. We are no longer afraid of ourselves. We can become a refugee because when we aren't afraid of ourselves, we don't feel that we need to be a protected place to hide in. The image of the Bodhisattva vow could be not afraid of others. When you take the Bodhisattva vow, you open the windows and doors and invite all sentient beings as your guests. Having understood the futility and pain of always holding on to yourself, you want to take the next step and begin to work with others. Yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? We can be all spiritual on the cushion, be all spiritual by ourselves, but you just bring one little living entity or another human being, and then, hey, who moved my cheese? You might think that you are working with others because you are much more sane than they are and you want to spread that sanity. But a more profound insight is that you realize that the only way to go further is to open those doors and windows and not protect ourselves anymore, but work with whatever arrives. So we set that intention this evening, didn't we? By just allowing this meditation to be what it's going to be. Right? So just practicing that in our daily meditation, just, okay, what's it going to be? And then the lawnmower goes off and we go, oh, it's going to be a lawnmower meditation today. Or that mockingbird that won't be quiet. Or the kids playing in the schoolyard. Or even the noise in the street below. That we just can work with any of it. The motivation for making friends with yourself becomes wanting to help others. These two work together. Because we learn and know that we can't help others if we are not making friends with ourselves. The next two are refraining from outrageous conduct and cultivating patience. But I'm presuming you didn't come here so that I could tell you a nighttime story, but rather to do some meditation. So we'll hit those next week, huh? All right, so let's just take a moment to just stretch out and get all our wiggles and jiggles out of the way. Get comfortable in our seat. All right, and then we're going to do something that, a technique that I've learned from Johanna and Reverend Steve Rambo. We're going to do this 3 times. It also helps to build strong lung function. So we might think of Brian Miller while we're doing this, who is having a procedure on his lung. So what we're going to do is just take a deep breath, and we're going to take it all the way up to the top, and we're going to hold it, and then we're going to release it all the way out. Just letting all that tidal air, the last bits out. We're going to hold it there and then observe that you naturally know how to breathe. Right? So sometimes we can hold our breath. This is teaching us that, oh, I know how to breathe naturally. So then we'll breathe all the way in, all the way up to the top again, and exhaling all the way out. So we're going to do that 3 times. Okay? And then we'll move into, I'll guide us into the meditation and into the sitting. And we'll have about 20 minutes of silence, and then like a little 5-minute healing ritual at the end, and then we'll be complete. Okay, so let's just start by just checking our seat, allowing our sit bones to be anchored squarely. Just bring our attention to that. Maybe rock back and forth a little bit. I wear this blanket because I like to man spread. So if that's how you're comfortable, just however you maybe you are fortunate to be able to do a lotus position, and that's for the next lifetime. As far for me, but however you're comfortable. But I would sit rather than lay down. All right, erect spine, chin slightly down. Imagine yourself balancing your 14-pound head over your sit bones. All right, so we're not sitting in tension. Right, so it's a relaxed state, but it's a mindful state. But we're not fighting anything. Just stay in there, right? Okay. All right, so let's do the breath work. Ready? So breathing, inhaling all the way to the top. And then exhaling all the way. That last breath all the way out. And then an inhale. And see that, witness how you just naturally know how to do that, taking the breath in all the way to the top. Hold it. Exhale. All the way to the top. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Inhaling for Brian. Hold at the top. Exhale. And now breathing in and just breathing naturally. Checking our posture again. And so the technique we're going to use is to focus our attention on the movement of the breath in the nostril. And while we're doing that, we're allowing the tummy to just naturally rise and fall. And we're just breathing naturally. And we're releasing any tension around that. So in the nostril, you may feel a sensation of the movement of air, hot, cold, both. But as you bring your attention to the breath, you'll witness And observe that your mind begins to still. So as we go into the silence, you may find that you get snagged by a thought. Then the thought becomes a story that you may not even be aware of until you are. And you just observe that, thinking. So you just take a deep breath and exhale. And just return back to the breath. And then as we do the body scan, we'll use the same technique. So if you find a place that has tension in it, you just breathe into it, and then on that exhale, just release it. And you'll see that you will surrender just a little deeper, and the mind will still a wee bit more. And eventually, still so much that you won't even be aware of the passage of time. All right, so let's take a deep breath. Release. And Mike's going to bring up the Om and Bros for us. So we just focus our attention on the breath. So we bring our attention to the bottom of the feet, top of the feet, into the knees, sometimes we can torque a little bit in the knees, so just look at that, into the pelvis or the sit bones, the lower back. So there may be some tension in that lower back. If you just tuck your tailbone in underneath just a little bit, you'll release that. The back will flatten a bit against the chair. Return to the breath. Observe the ribs rising and falling with the breath. Bring our attention to the sit bones and work our way up the spine. Just simply observing. And on the exhale, bring your awareness to your arms. Just letting them hang on the exhale. The hands, the elbows, the arms, the shoulders, the back, the spine again balanced over the sit bones, the head over the spine. So the chin up and then release just a few degrees. Staying with the breath. So as we move into the silence for a bit, you may work with the various sensations in the body, just in a focused way. You may experience a tingling between the eyebrows or on the crown of the head. Just observe and allow. All right, so we're going to move into the silence now. Let's take a deep breath together and release as we move into the silence now for about 20 minutes. attention gently back into the room, staying with the breath. So let's know together that at the center is where the Spirit resides, the indwelling Spirit, that flame of divinity. So with each in-breath, we're fanning that flame. It's growing in brilliance and radiance and expanding with each in-breath. In the same manner that blowing a balloon expands the balloon. And as we know, the Spirit is everywhere present, so we are breathing in. We are breathing in the light of the divine, taking what we need and exhaling the love of the divine. Breathe in, and exhale. Breathing in light, exhaling love. And so in that respiration, that re-inspiration, we know that the light of the divine is activating every aspect of our body temple, that we're allowing this light of the divine in our heart center is expanding now beyond the torso, side to side, front to back, top to bottom. Again, staying with the breath, breathing in, light, exhaling, love. As we continue to expand this globe of light now, the very room that we are sitting in is now a field of light and love, and that with each in-breath we are activating at a molecular level the very light of the Spirit, activating every cell, every molecule, every atom, every cell, every muscle, every organ, every sinew, every bone. Taking a deep breath for Brian. Breathing in the light of the divine, co-mingling with that pattern of perfection that is the indwelling truth of our being. That as we are activated, as we have activated every cell and every molecule of the body, that we are now aligning with that pattern of perfection and calling forth radiant good health within our own body temple. Again, staying with the breath. So we know for Reverend Jessica that there is an aligning with her knee and her hip, that the body is being restored to full and complete mobility and function. And for Brenda as well, that she is experiencing radiant good health in all of its ways. That there is, with each in-breath, a vitality and a restoration expressing as radiant good health in all of its forms, in every organ of the body, including our largest organ, which is the skin. That we know for Brian that his lung is being restored even now. Through the course of his treatment, that we are adding to that spiritual mind treatment, knowing that for anyone seeking healing in any way, that the universe is co-conspiring to bring forth a demonstration of radiant good health in every way. That we know that all the various components, from insurance companies to nurses to doctors, the pharmaceuticals, including our own receptivity and our mentality, that we are open and receptive to now demonstrate the indwelling presence of the divine as radiant good health, that our mentalities are calm and focused and strong, that our hearts are open and that we feel connected to our brothers and sisters on the planet, that as we work our way through this health situation, that we know that as we bring our attention and raise our conscious vibration of thought to one of connectedness and of radiant good health, that the idea of pandemic even dissolves, in knowing that with each step we take, with each breath, every time we don a mask and wash our hands, that we are experiencing radiant good health and building a consciousness, a human race consciousness of strong public health that raises the consciousness of vitality and health for all. We take a deep conscious breath and release. And in that release, we just know further that as we end this meditation and prepare for bed tonight, that we hit the pillow, drifting easily and effortlessly off to sleep, that we enjoy a deep, restful sleep with sweet dreams, that we awaken feeling refreshed and revitalized and full of vim and vigor and vitality and an excitement for the day ahead. We feel a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for the many blessings we have in our life, those frontline workers, from nurses to delivery men to grocery workers, those folks that maybe in the past we have overlooked. We're just experiencing gratitude and deep appreciation for them in this moment. And from this place of gratitude, we take again a deep breath and release. And in that release, know that our word, our cares, our concerns, our triumphs, and our sorrows, all of it, we're just releasing all of it to the mind of the divine itself, that aspect of mind of the divine that knows only to say yes. Yes, beloved, yes. In you I am well pleased. So we release it to its divine unfoldment. We feel lifted. We feel shifted. We feel raised and refreshed. And so it is. Amen. So, thank you. Evening. If you are new to the center, we do have Sunday services that are live. They come live to you right here from the sanctuary here in Granada Hills. I'm joined by our assistant minister, Reverend Nancy Woods, our spiritual director, Ken Francis, and then we're blessed to have Jason Goldstein working with him on keys, and then, of course, Michael Carlin holding down the fort with the video and a whole host of other things, and Evan handles the sound for us. So we do it all socially distant so that we can come together and experience spiritual community. So if you can, try to join us live. It makes a difference. All right. And there's a little chat in there, and you can say hello to people and feel connected that way. And then we also have a Zoom fellowship. If you're interested in joining us for that, drop either me or Melissa a line. That's admin@cslgh.org or revmike@cslgh.org, and I'll send you the password for getting in, because we got Zoom bombed. We got Zoom bombed a while back, so now we have a password. All right. So that's it for us this evening. Stay safe. Stay strong. Know that you're loved. And I'll see you on Sunday. Peace and blessings. Bye now.